70 years ago that American soldiers were fighting one of the toughest campaigns of World War II.
There were more than 100,000 casualties at the Battle of the Bulge, and one of them was a young infantryman from New Orleans.
Well, for decades, his younger brother mourned and searched for one last connection. But he and his family were stunned when a miracle happened. Tonight, Bill Capo has the touching story.
Memories, memories.
87-year-old Frank Varuso looked at the World War II Museum's train car that symbolizes soldiers leaving to fight for freedom and remembered seeing his 18-year-old brother Jack board a train only a few blocks from here in 1944, and the emotions are still raw.
And he raised up the window and he said, listen to Mom and Papa and take care of my bike. That was his last words to me.
Frank never saw his brother again. Jack Varuso fought and died in the Battle of the Bulge. The section of the museum's new exhibit about the battle brought tears.
Hurts me to see this.
The Purple Heart to Jack Varuso, Private First Class.
Frank was serving in the Navy when the Red Cross gave him the news of Jack's death.
What I have to tell you is that your brother was killed in Belgium. And I just sat there. I guess maybe I was shocked.
Frank idolized Jack and remembers the two of them growing up in the lower 9th Ward.
He was so kind to me. It's like my son. He's so much like, he reminds me so much of my brother. Maybe that's why I'm so close to him.
Here's Uncle Jack on his bike.
Yeah.
And through Frank's stories, his son Randy feels like he knows his uncle.
If he was anything like everybody else in the family, he was a fighter. And he was gonna go to the very end. I knew the story very well, how he left and how he never came home. And it's something that's affected my daddy his whole life and affected me.
That the son is so much like the uncle means everything to Frank.
He gives me courage. He's been coming every day because I've been in a bad way.
We will always be grateful for his sacrifice.
Randy followed Jack's journey to Belgium and saw Jack's last resting place in a World War II cemetery.
Knowing the story, when I stood at the foot of his grave, there was this connection. He knew I was there.
Randy said this connection turned out to be one of the most emotional points in his life, so he called to share it with his dad.
It's something that I will never forget and carry with me till the day I die.
But Frank never stopped searching for more information and clues about his brother's last days. He watched every World War II film he could find, looking for Jack.
My dad was just fixated on the TV. And I heard him as a child and even as an older adult. He would say, my brother's out there somewhere. I know he is. I just haven't found him.
I just loved him so much. The love has never left me till this day.
He looked in those faces for 70 years now, looking for his brother.
Randy and Frank wanted to know as much about Jack as possible, but they always felt something was missing. So they kept searching, never knowing that a miracle would happen just a few weeks ago. A miracle that lasted 1 second. Randy's brother gave their father noted filmmaker Ken Burns' documentary for PBS titled The War. It showed the troops celebrating Christmas after a fierce fight during the Battle of the Bulge. When Randy sat down to watch it, he could easily have missed the face that briefly appeared in the corner of the screen. But all of a sudden, he was riveted by the picture of Jack.
It was probably a second and a half of film. And when I paused it, I sat there in a state of disbelief. I'm thinking to myself, my God, there he is.
That's him. That's him. I saw him.
The 70-year search ended with a 1-second miracle that brought the last image of Jack back to his family.
He was a hero.
And Frank replayed the clip more than a few times.
Until my VCR broke.
We're so thrilled to have been able to deliver a measure of closure.
Ken Burns produced the war documentary that contained the old film of Jack, and when he heard the Varuso story, he was stunned.
We're happy to be a footnote in this powerful story because, my goodness, this family now has a kind of completion.
Jack was killed in battle 1 month later. Now the smile on his face in the film is burned in his family's minds.
He's smiling. He's got this big grin on his face. He's telling us he's okay, and he's telling us he's not scared.
It may be Jack's last and most important gift to his loved ones.
Oh God, I mean, it means as much to me as anything that means anything to me today.
Like he's still alive in my heart. He'll never leave my heart.
And the picture answered a lot of questions for me.
And for Frank, the search was worth the rewards.
Got closure. We got closure.
But they say Jack's experience is one of the many reasons to realize that our American freedom comes with sacrifice.
It was young men like him that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And I certainly feel indebted to him, as well as all those other soldiers all over the world that defended what we have here today, real freedom.
I'm Bill Capo, Eyewitness News.
Frank Varuso and his family often visit the World War II Museum, and Frank is proud that his children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren have learned how important World War II was in American history, thanks to the story of Jack Varuso.